First place I learned about death was the pet cemetery. Dead things buried in that land would come back as something else. Something's wrong. Continue.
Who needs time to adjust?
Something's talking to him.
Rated R.
Football is back, and we're partnering up with DraftKings Sportsbook to dish out some can't-miss offers. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official partner of the NFL, is coming up clutch for football season. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's right. New customers bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. With those bonus bets, there's no telling what you can do. Try out our same game parlay. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a shot at an even bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more you can win. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code SMOKE only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Welcome back, season 5, All the Smoke. We had a nice little break. Number 5, this is your lucky number. It's going to be a big season for us.
Thanks to you.
I can smell the green. Yes, and I'm not talking about tree. Anyway, man, we have none other than our brother, T.O. Welcome to the show.
What's up, bro? Good. What's up?
Good to have you, man. Country boy. Man, Hall of Famer. One of the greatest to ever do it. Played for my favorite team. That's when I fell in love with your game.
Which one? Favorite
Niners.
Team? Okay, Niners. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Niner guy. So let's talk to us. I mean, top 3 greatest receivers. I put you up there. I put Randy Moss up there. I put Jerry Rice up there. Where do you rank yourself amongst that mix?
I've always had this question and been consistent with my answer. I would say I'm number 2.
Okay.
When you think about, the consistency in which I played the game, how I played the game. I played it at every level, you know what I mean? Even on the field, from the short and medium, and then, taking the top off. And then just other little attributes of the game. When you talk about blocking, things of that nature, people think just because you're a receiver, that's all you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? But there's other things, like I said, that when I came out of college, those are some things like, as far as the receiving part of the game, I hadn't really mastered yet. When you talk about bump and run, getting off the different coverages, reading different coverages, I hadn't really experienced it at another level. So when I went to San Francisco, obviously, like I said, Jerry's obviously is going to be number 1 on my list. We have a lot of similarities in our game when you talk about how we approach the game. But going to small schools, I went to UT Chattanooga. He went to a HBCU school, and Mississippi Valley State. But the coaches, like I said, being drafted to the Niners at that time, late 90s, you had the emergence of big receivers, 6'3" and above. You had your Herman Moores, your Jake Reeds, your J.J. Stokes, those type of guys. We kind of set a trend around that time for big receivers, and I possessed those physical attributes.
What kind of things did you learn from Jerry? Obviously, he's your number 1 receiver. A lot of our number 1 receiver, but being drafted into a situation with him there, what were some of the early things you learned?
The responsibility of being a number 1 guy. Some of those things that I just mentioned, I alluded to. Like I said, it's not just, catching the ball and making plays. But obviously, like I said, understanding that position, you're able to get other teammates involved, get them open. Even in the running game, you can help in that situation. Those running backs can benefit from the double team coverage and things that you possess. So just the work ethic in itself, I think that came with how I grew up. I was raised by my grandmama and my mom. So other than that, like I said, just watching his approach to the game every day. And after like my rookie year, into my second year, my coaches, they would always pull me to the side and they're like, yo, they saw the progression that I made from my rookie year to year 3 is when I made the big catch against Green Bay. They're like, man, you may have a successful career. Just keep watching watching that guy right there.
Blueprint. Randy Moss, speak to his greatness. Again, to be mentioned in the midst of those guys, I mean, really says a lot about who you were as a player, but speak to his greatness as well during his run.
Obviously a better talent than I was coming out of college. He started right away. You know, he played at Marshall, a school that we played in our division, in our conference when I was at UT Chattanooga. We didn't play against each other, but he played with Chad Pennington. And so you think about the skill set that he possessed. Dude, he could fly, you know what I mean? Catch the ball, you know, anywhere. His catch radius was out of this world. And so again, he had that talent that I wish I had coming out of college, but I had to develop into that, like after, you know, into my year 1 to year 3. So when you think about what he did in Minnesota, like I said, I mean, he was doing some spectacular things. And I think to his credit too, I mean, he had a lot of great quarterbacks that he played with early on that was able to get him the ball. And like for me, that was a maturation process and the progress that I had to do and make to get to the point, to the level that he was coming straight out of college. And then I only played 3 years with Steve Young, who's a Hall of Fame quarterback. So I didn't really get to really play with a stellar, like that A1 quarterback throughout the entirety of my career. But I was able to make it work because I was able to work hard.
What's life like day to day now? I mean, still in good as shape as you ever been, as fast, as strong as you've ever been. We still see you on Instagram running sub 4.5 40s, playing in the big 3 celebrities. Right? What's life like now for you?
Man, just trying to be active. You know, my kids are in college, you in high school. So other than that, outside of, you know, being a dad and trying to be supportive of them, you know, just, you know, working on a few business endeavors, like I said, my clothing line, wine, candle line, things of that nature. And then, like I said, I do speaking engagements as well. Talking about, you know, how, you know, I talk to like real estate companies, different companies or what have you. And talking about that is just educating them on how an athlete's mindset is applicable to what they do on an everyday basis. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these Fortune 500 companies and people that work at these companies, they want to be athletes, and they want to know what it takes to be successful as an athlete. So I always talk about, you know, my path to success, which is desire, dedication, discipline. Like I said, even with that today, like I said, that's why I'm able to stay and look the way that I do, because of the discipline part of my career. Because I figured, okay, early on, when I mentioned I wasn't as great at Randy coming out of college, I watched Jerry. I watched the things that he did. I assessed myself against my peers and the talent around me, and even the league. Once I started playing, I'm like, man, I'm not as good as they are yet. What do I need to do to get on that level? And so again, when I reflect back on, like I said, you mentioned my Hall of Fame. Again, when I got inducted, when I actually first got nominated, you know, I was kind of blown away because I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know the magnitude of what Hall of Fame was because I didn't play the game for that. But once I sat back, I was like, man, how did I get here? In my own assessment, I'm like, okay, desire. I had the desire. I dedicated myself. I did what, you know, obviously the trainers, the coaches and things of that nature told me to do. But it's like, when you think about some of the greatest athletes that play every sport, you two have played with a lot of them. What separates those? And that one last D is what always comes up, and that's discipline. And so I applied that, like I said, with, you know, my 3 pillars of what I call my 3 pillars of success.
What's the clothing line?
Prototype 81. Prototype 81. Yeah, the definition of prototype, and like I said, I mentioned my physical attributes. That was what a lot of teams, when I was being drafted, they kept saying that I fit the prototypical type of body or what have you. And then I looked up the word prototype, and the definition is the definition of prototype is the basis on which something is made or formed. We're all prototypes in our own right. And so when I looked at, okay, I was born to do this, you know what I mean? I found my way, and I made a way to become, like I said, I call myself Prototype 81. But everybody is a prototype, and like I said, if you figure it out, you can get to the top.
When can we find it? I mean, when it's coming out?
Oh, it's already out now. Yeah, this is actually this.
I knew that was.
Hey,
I love me some.
Hey, yeah, I love me some. This hoodie is part of that. It's part of, you know, my journey. You know what I mean? Those are like I said, growing up, I got picked on, teased, this and that and the other. And sometimes I had that defense mechanism. Like I said, we all go through certain things. And so growing up, as I started to play, you know, I'm like, okay, I didn't have all this love and glory. I didn't have all the adulation, people, supporting me. I didn't have, people talking about, okay, you're a top 5 this, you're a top 5 that. Growing up in high school, I barely played. College, barely played until like my sophomore, junior year. And I didn't really start till my junior year. So these are some of the things that I started to kind of like realize about myself. And then, like I said, I had low self-esteem growing up because I was dark skinned, because I wasn't good enough, because I was skinny. That's part of, who we all are. And at some point, we kind of find ourselves and we, grow with that. And so I love me some me. That's something that I always kind of figured out along the way. Like, you got to love yourself first, because you're going to have a lot of people, they love to hate you and then they hate to love you.
Mm-hmm. Did you have low self-esteem because of how dark you were?
Nah, I had low self-esteem for how poor we was.
Hey, that too. Like I said, growing up in a low income household, like I said, I was raised by my grandmama. So like, bro, I stood in lines, the WIC lines, you know what I mean? Waiting for the cheese and those things of that nature. I
We
stood
used
in
to
those
hope a
lines.
hurricane hit, just so that we can get the Red Cross hamburgers. Word.
Hey, so, like I said, man, my success, like I said, everybody has their path, their journey. It's always a different path for everybody. Yep, exactly. And so again, that's why I've always been confident. Once I started to become confident, I became even more confident, especially once I realized what I could do on the football field, because it wasn't always there. I never ever thought I would play beyond the collegiate level. So, and I played 3 years of college basketball as well. So again, I never really thought that I had the ability. Obviously, got recruited to play there, but I never really thought I had the ability to play beyond UT Chattanooga.
This Stephen A situation has kind of been brewing of late. I saw what you got brewing, right? I saw there's an initial situation happen back during the Kaepernick thing, and you guys got into it, and the world saw that. I don't know how it kind of recirculated, but it has. Stephen A. Smith went on his podcast and kind of said his reasoning and his piece behind it. You're here now, and we want to give you the floor to say your piece. But before you say your piece, we got love for both y'all. And
Sure, yeah.
I want to know, is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
No, I don't think so, because he's used his platform really kind of to really tarnish, really attack my character. You know what I mean? Who I am as a person. You know what I mean? So regardless of however he started his monologue and his thing with his podcast, trying to build me up to break me down, we all see through that. You know what I mean? And all the people he's talking about that has reached out to them, just that and the other, from GMs to players and coaches, who gives a shit? To be quite honest, because I've had people, that have reached out to me, players as well, and some of the people that he thinks are cool with him, they're not cool with him. So before I go on my diatribe, Stephen A. can't be a soliloquy because I'm here with these guys, but I will address some of those things.
The floor is yours, bro. Talk us. So the initial situation, to backtrack, the initial situation was during the Kaepernick situation where he was trying to come back. There was an incident where him and Max were talking, and you said Max acts a little blacker than you, whatever, and that kind of got the thing going. So what happened from there? What happened?
And even at the clip, like, again, you said it resurfaced.
Mm-hmm.
It resurfaced because I guess he did an interview with Joe Budden and he explained why he didn't like Max, or he didn't like working with Max. Okay. And so, obviously Max ended up getting fired, blah, 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 blah. So fans took to that interview and they brought up, okay, well, this is why T.O. said what he said. Okay. So I kept getting tagged on the video and my phone, like, yo, what's going on? So I saw the comments or what have you, and I haven't backed down from anything. I just said facts and just left it at that. He took offense to that. Then he went on his podcast and said that I posted it, which I didn't. And even in my response to that, and I'm like, genius, I retweeted it. I didn't actually post it. I didn't go out of my way to go bring everything up. It was only a response to that interview that he did with Joe Budden about Max that all the fans, brought it up. So he took offense, to that. And so that's where it all resurfaced.
Now, I got a chance to see what he said. I went back and watched it. He said something about a lawsuit at ESPN or something.
Right. So I guess there was something going on. I guess we were talking about the Kaepernick situation, and somehow there was a text exchange between me and him.
Between you and Stephen A.
Stephen A.
Okay.
And he on air, he mentioned something about the text, which I didn't give him consent to do.
Mm-hmm.
I had
You don't, but that's one rule. Somebody texts you or any type of conversation takes you, do not share that on social media, none of that, bro. You just, especially the person don't know. Yeah, right, exactly. Right.
So I didn't take the honest. I didn't go out of my way to go file a lawsuit. I had an attorney that reached out to me, like, yo, that's not right. It's copyright infringement, something along those lines.
Okay. Oh, so someone just reached out, an attorney came and found you about it.
Yep.
Said, do you want to pursue
Yeah,
action
this is
against?
what happened. Like, he can't do that. So
Gotcha.
It wasn't really him. It was I looked at ESPN. ESPN has dogged me over the years, mischaracterized me. You having people having misunderstandings about who I am, you know, whether, you know, as far as my characters is concerned. Everybody's talking about I'm arrogant, I'm selfish. Of course, I've had disagreements with some players, some coaches, but who hasn't?
Right. Now, my question to you, but I do, not to cut you off, I want you to finish.
Right.
I do remember he was one of the best. So before all this shit hit, you guys were cool then, because I remember he used to stand up for you a lot. That was the one thing he used to do back in the day before the shit hit the fan.
I think everybody realized Stephen A. was cool with a lot of things back in the day.
Okay.
But as time has surpassed, a lot of people have a different opinion about who Stephen was then and who he is now.
Okay.
I'm one of those people. So regardless of that, me and Stephen A., we ain't buddy-buddy. You know what I mean? Whether he talks good or bad about me on his show, whether it's objective or subjective, that's his job.
Okay.
I didn't know Stephen A. prior to me, I guess our initial meeting. I guarantee he knew about me because of my play before I knew about him. So we're not buddy-buddy at the end of the day. And so again, back to my point, the attorney reached out. He said, this is what we're going to do. He went out to ESPN. He submitted the file or the claim to ESPN, and that's how things started. But for him to say and allude or insinuate that it's a money grab or something like that, that's not cool. You know what I mean? To insinuate, oh, I'm broke, this and that and the other, because these are certain things, like I said, that it is personal. You know what I mean? It's no secret. I was represented by Drew and Jason Rosenhaus. They referred me to Pro Sports Financial, who was a financial advisor, and Jeff Rubin. It's public knowledge, bro. I got taken advantage of. They stole a lot of my money. Anybody that knows me, I didn't just go blow my money. You know what I mean? So yeah, do I have the means that I had back then? Absolutely not. But for him to go on TV and insinuate certain these things that I did X, Y, Z, and I'm desperate, that's not cool, bro.
That ain't nobody's business.
I'm not gonna let that slide. So at the end of the day, and I told him, I told him, yo, keep that same energy. You're gonna call me a sorry ass and I'm pathetic, things of that. I'm trifling. If I ever come across him, keep that same energy. It's not a threat, but you're not going to use that platform to downgrade me as a person and what I've accomplished for your benefit, because you have a platform to do that. And then talk about and bring up all these top name people or high qualified, I guess in his name, to demean me. He mentioning the Donovan McNabb, the Brian Dawkins, the Primes, you know what I mean? Shannon Sharp. You know, talking about GMs and players, talking about don't go after him like that. What have I ever done? Then holding up papers in his podcast like he got something on me. That he's gonna expose me. Expose me for what? I urge him to. I give him permission to expose me because I've never done anything. You don't have anything on me. You got the world looking at me crazy like you got something on me. So if you do, please let it be known.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about athletes is we don't really have too many skeletons. Like all of our shit is front and center. So I get what you're saying with that. So, I mean, is there anything else you kind of want to, like I said, I want to make sure you get that out or anything else off your chest when it comes to that?
No, I mean, again, I appreciate the platform because, like I said, he had the opportunity to sit in front of his audience, his millions of subscribers, you know, like you said, his soliloquy, to share his thoughts with all the hearers or whatever the case may be. But for me, I wanted to share that with everybody to give them some context as to what he's saying is not accurate. It's not totally true. For him to try to build me up and then bash me and attack my character, that's not going to fly with me. I want the same platform, like I said, to sit down and really share my story and let everybody know, like, yo, he's not who we think he is. And Stephen A., he's walking around like just because ESPN has padded his pockets with some millions, he's walking around like he's us, like he's an athlete, like he got that kind of cachet. And then, like I said, mentioning guys that obviously I think highly of, talking about Deion and Shannon and these guys I come across with, on a regular. You know what I mean? That's not cool to be name dropping. You know what I mean? Because now I'm around these guys and I'm like, okay, well, how do they really feel about me? You know what I mean? How do they think about me? You know what I mean? So that's where I am with it. You know what I mean? So as he said in his podcast, we don't ever have to speak again. Okay. Never, ever. But make no mistake about it. I don't try to be no badass, no nothing, bro. Anybody know me, I'm easygoing, I'm cool. I've kept my nose clean because I was raised the right way, bro. Right. But you're not finna sit up here and try to bash me or attack my character in front of millions and sit on ESPN with your compadres or what have you and act like you bad and you this and that and the other. That's not gonna fly with me. But like I told him, keep that same energy. And I'm like I said, I'm not condoning nobody, but you're not gonna disrespect me. You know what I mean? Because when it comes to the player, that has nothing to do with that. That has nothing to do with this. You know what I mean? It's me. For me, like I said, it's personal. So at this point, like I said, at this point in time, that's how I am. That's where I am with it.
Anytime as a man, though, anytime as a man where you feel disrespected as far as your character or your integrity, you should feel a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? Any man should, and you should respond. Unless you're not a man, right. You know what I'm saying? And unless you don't stand on morals or respect, you know what I'm saying? And for me personally, anytime something that's talked about in private and is shared public, it's gonna cause a problem. Right. Like Matt said, especially if it's not an understanding before that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things that from hearing the way it happened, I feel like it could be a conversation between y'all because with the media knowing this and all this stuff being out, it's a lot of stuff that's been said that ain't true too. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of stuff that's been insinuated. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's on the outside looking in. So that's why I feel if y'all sat down, you know what I'm saying? Y'all might have to get in there and box for a minute. So what?
Or we could just bring some weed too.
You know what I'm saying?
Kick back.
If y'all got a box for a minute, then talk it out. That's how we used to do it in the hood. We got disagreements. We'll scrap it out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Then we go back to the store, buy candy together. You know what I'm saying? That's how we grew up. As men, it's going to be different. I get that. You know what I'm saying? But for me personally, I feel like with all the other shit around it and being out in social media, that's making it harder for y'all to get an understanding. This is my personal.
But to your point, like I said, to add some clarity to things, like I said, and some things are misleading as if I went back and somebody sent me a clip of some of the things that he said. And he's like, oh, he's not a liar. He's not this, he's not that. And again, the thing is the insinuation that, I'm doing stuff for money. Like I told you, I don't have the same amount of money because I got taken.
But that ain't nobody business, T.O.
But that's what I'm saying. He made it everybody business. Now he got people looking at me sideways. And then even with the lawsuit thing, I showed you guys. Mm-hmm. He admittedly in the text from our text exchange, he's like, "Oh, I'm mistaking your text for a tweet."
Yeah,
that's what the attorney was referring to. He admitted that. Mm-hmm. I showed you guys that. Yeah. That's in our text conversation. Yeah. I ain't got no reason to lie about nothing, and I ain't got nothing to hide. So for him to come out initially when he saw the whole facts thing in response to that, and somebody he gonna expose me for what?
Right.
I urge you to expose me. But at this end of the day, like I said, he feels the way he feels. I feel the way I feel. Like I told you, we're not buddy. I don't never have to talk to Stephen A. again in my entire life. He can sit on ESPN, do what use all the big words he wants to impress everybody. That doesn't impress me. Now, like I said, he's used that platform to tear some black athletes down. And even I'm included that. You try to build them up, tear them down with your words, this and that, the other, your monologue. Bro, I can see past all of that. But you're not finna just do it to me. A lot of guys are not going to say anything.
No, I feel you. I mean, shit, he still on me apologies the way he talked about me with the brawl shit. But that's my boy. I ain't never brought it up to him, but he dogged me. But again, I just let it go because I'm live still, but
doing right. But again, those things, right. But those things, like I said,
I'm still him, yeah.
Right. Right. But like I said, like I said, I can look in this camera just like he looks into the camera and talk to America. And when I tell you, when I'm serious about that, keep that same energy, my guy. Keep that same energy. Not put that on Alizine Black, my dude. Keep that same energy. that you did with your podcast, keep it the same. That's all I got to say.
I think before we move on, Jack, I want to commend both of us because we both tried to go the peaceful way right here.
And I just can't believe it. And that shit, for us to do it didn't work. It's smoke. Hey, I fuck with Steve. It's smoke, baby.
Yeah, I fuck with both you guys. So I gave my disclaimer before this shit started, and we both tried to come to peace. We both did.
You ain't never seen us come in peace like that.
Hey,
It's all good.
y'all handle your business, man. I hope it works itself out.
Yeah, man, just keep what's private,
Yeah.
off social media. Let's talk about your upbringing, bro, because we wanted to have you on this show, definitely to talk about that.
About you and your greatness.
Because you our boy, you know what I'm saying? With something on your mind, this is a platform for people that we rock with, especially to come say what they need to say. So we wanted to get that out first because we fuck with you like family.
No, and that's
You know what
why
I'm
I
saying?
wanted to do it with you guys,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to go to another network and have them chop my stuff up and edit it. I want them to see me, because over the years, like I said, ESPN, they did me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that happened during the course of my career, I did an hour and a half, 2-hour interviews, but they only showed like maybe 5 or 10 minutes of the clip.
To control the narrative.
Right. So that's why everybody thinks that I'm this person. That's why he can go on his podcast and compound some of those things and bring some of those things up as if I'm that person. Bro, I know what he's doing. That's not cool. But he wonders why, why I said what I said. I said it tongue in cheek, but there's always a little truth to it. That's why I said that Maxine's blacker than him. I said what people are thinking. But now, like I said, I never back down from it. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a man of my word. I did and stand on it, stand on what I say. But it is what it is at this point. But obviously you're talking about some of the things that I'm doing now, getting ready to do a documentary. I'll say we're going to allude to some of it. We're not going to reveal everything, but some of how I grew up, some of the things that are going on, even just, some of the things, like I said, me losing millions of dollars, through the recommendation of my agents at the time, Drew and Jason Rosenhaus. You know what I mean? Financially, like I said.
They was in on.
Yeah. So again, those are things that people don't know. But again, for Stephen A. to use his platform to insinuate that I'm desperate, and those are the things. That's the word that he used. And when I asked him about it, he goes, "I didn't say you were desperate." I'm like, "Yes, you did. It's in your tweet. You said I was desperate." Then he went and doubled down on that with his podcast and said that I was doing this stuff for money. Granted, it ain't no secret. I don't have as much money as I used to, but I'm alive. I'm blessed. I'm a Hall of Famer. I ain't worried about nothing. I'm good. I ain't asked him for nothing. So why he worried about what's in my pockets?
Let's talk about your upbringing, though. We got similar upbringings. You was raised by your mom and grandmother. I was, too.
Yep.
My mama worked 6 in the morning, 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning my whole life, so I barely seen her. So I basically stayed with my grandmother. Talk about having that really as a blessing to be raised by 2 strong women.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people talking, you was raised by your mama, but look at me now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So talk about being raised by your grandmother and your mom in Alabama.
Oh man, it's
Alexandria.
Yeah,
Alexander City.
Yeah, Alexander City. Like I said, I've said it a number of times. Like I said, being raised by 2 women probably, like I said, may have been the best thing for me, because it shaped me to be who I am. I'm unapologetic, in certain areas about certain things. My grandmama grew up in that segregation era where, she grew up where it was racism to the fullest. Growing up, I used to hear her talk to her friends about certain things that she had to do, grew up doing, what they couldn't do. I couldn't imagine it and didn't really understand it at that time. But as I grew up and as we know what has happened over the years, especially with the George Floyd situation, things being brought to light because now they actually see it. Now I know a lot of what she used to go through and what she used to talk about and what we as Black people have been talking about a number of times. Even when I went through, got drafted by the Niners, dealing with Coach Mariucci, there was some tension there. I didn't really think about it too much. I felt it, I saw it, but I never said anything. When you talk about systemic racism, it was there, but I didn't let it deter me or distract from what I had to do on the football field. Because like I said, there are some things after my third year, you had Skip Bayless to follow. He was a journalist or a beat writer or something in San Francisco. He would follow my career. He fell in love with me. Then he fell out of love with me. Then I became somewhat of a villain. He started to do his show. Now I had a target on my back. Now everybody thought I was this way when I actually wasn't a certain way. But again, like I said, the things that I've done, I've accomplished, the way that I've carried myself, you know what it's like to carry your name, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I tried to represent myself and my family. And I feel like I've done that to the fullest. Because like I said, I know right from wrong. You know, as we grow up, if you don't know right from wrong, you'll understand with trials and tribulations and the lessons that you learn. I've never claimed to be perfect. I've made some mistakes along the way, and I've made some poor choices along the way. That's what makes us who we are. It makes us mean. So again, those are some of the things, like I said, that I took from my grandmama. My mom, like I said, she had me at like 16 or 17. So she was working a number of jobs as well. She was a seamstress growing up. She made clothes for everybody in the neighborhood or like just to make ends meet. You know what I mean? I didn't have the name brand things that a lot of the rich white kids were wearing. I saw that, you know, I was wearing Wranglers, you know what I mean? Or had shoes that were called pie crust because they didn't have no grip, you know what I mean? Those are some of the things, like I said, I grew up and feeling less than because I didn't have the better of everything. And so my mom, like I said, she made sure we looked good and we were dressed no matter what. So that's how even some of the fashion stuff that I try to get into, even some of the things that I was able to accomplish and still doing now, she lived vicariously through me because it was cut short because she had kids at a young age. She couldn't do those things. So when you think about fashion, you know, home decor, things that my mom wanted to do all those things.
And the thing about it, we went without, but they replaced it with love.
Oh, no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? That got us through. Like I said, our lives are so similar. My dad stayed around the corner from me and my whole life, and I didn't actually meet him and have a relationship with him until I was like 12, 13. I went to him to live with him because my older brother was there. My older brother was selling drugs, so I wanted to be in the dope gang. So that's why I moved over there. Right. Your dad stayed right across the street from you.
Yeah, I had no idea. You know, obviously the neighborhood, you got, you know, girls, boys in the neighborhood. As a preteen, you know what I mean? 10, 11, 12, you know what I mean? You start to see girls that obviously, you're like, so I started liking one of my sisters. And it got to the point like, okay, it got back to my dad. And so he had that conversation like, oh, you can't.
So wait, you didn't know that was your sister?
No, I didn't know. Yeah, we were just all in the neighborhood.
So playing. So Pops was across the street that you didn't.
I had no idea.
He had kids.
He had 4 kids at the time.
Okay. Knocking down the whole neighborhood, huh?
I don't know about knocking down the neighborhood. I know. Yeah, but they would probably agree now that he was a Rolling Stone. At that time, unbeknownst to me, I had no idea about his lifestyle, no nothing.
Got you. Okay.
But again, he had 4 girls. We all used to play muff and all types of stuff in the neighborhood, hide and seek, things of that nature. And so I started having some feelings, you know, with one of the girls, and it was Lisa. So, and they got back to my dad because everybody's like, oh, Terrell likes Lisa. So it got back to him, and he had that conversation like, yo, you can't like Lisa. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Why? Lisa's your sister. So that was kind of like how I found out, you know, who my dad was.
So did you have he spoke to you, but you just growing up?
Well, yeah. So again, like I said, my dad, he like I said, understanding now, you know, his lifestyle, he got around a bit. So he was talented, played sports, left-handed, you know, nice at pool, all those things that I found out later on. Like I said, I did a show on own network with Iyala Benzat, where we did the show Fix My Life. And that was the first time I ever saw my dad and my mom by next to each other for more than 2 or 3 minutes. Because as I was growing up, I saw him around the town, you know what I mean? The softball games and this and that and the other. We had the rec center where everybody congregated to do certain things. I would run into him or what have you. That's when I saw him or what have you. And if my mom was with me, I didn't even really know what was going on. I just thought it was just a friend, you know what I mean? He was high and by, you know what I mean? But that was pretty much the extent of it. So, you know, like I said, long story short, at the end of the day, like I said, even after the show, as I've grown, and like I said, he never came to any high school, college, and maybe a few pro games at that. But I commend him that he never really reached out to me. It wasn't like he saw that I became a professional athlete. He knew I had money, and he never tried to do any of that. So I commend him on that. But as far as our relationship, it's cordial. You know what I mean? Is it like what I wish I could have had? No. But what I didn't have with my father, I've tried to do that with my own kids, even though we've been in separate households. And I've talked to my kids about that. Even with them, I try to, make sure I don't use the word mistake in explaining certain things, because you never know how a kid may interpret that. So I always say, hey, Dad made some poor choices, especially when my son got old enough that he realized, okay, he had other siblings, So those are some of the things, like I said, I've taken from, how I grew up, the relationship with him, and how I've, tried to move forward.
To make you a better man.
Yeah.
When did football come into play?
I played football in like junior high, high school, but I was just on the team, Stak.
You wasn't that.
Yeah. I wasn't nothing to be talked about. You know what I mean? When I went to, obviously junior high, played JV, played tight end on JV. And then obviously transitioning from JV to high school ball, varsity. I still didn't really play a lot. I had two guys that were starting in front of me like my junior, senior year.
They like that?
Yeah, they were better than I was.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always been a realist about my skill set, my talent, and I was like I said, I got a story to tell. That's why I'm doing that documentary. And so I wasn't that guy. I saw the talented guys around me. You've seen those guys, like I said, you talk about the LeBrons that come out straight out of high school. Then you saw the natural talent in some of those guys. I was around those guys, and literally, I'm like, man, these guys are good. You know what I mean? They were like, I would say, if you had to carry, they would be 4 or 5 star athletes. I was never that. What people saw in my professional career, they would have thought that I was that in high school. I was that in college. But again, I always go back to my 3 pillars of success and how I got to be a Hall of Famer is that desire. Because I had a desire to play any sport. You know what I mean? I played baseball. I ran track. And those sports, when I didn't play baseball, I ran track. When I ran track, I played baseball. And I played basketball as well. So those are some of the things, like I said, that I did as an athlete, but I was just on the team. I wasn't a top guy. Yeah, I wasn't that star athlete.
End up going to UT Chattanooga.
On the heels of a guy that was being recruited from my high school, Derek Hall.
So they came to see him?
They came to see him, looked at the film. This is when we had the reels. They was in there watching film on him. And at that time, like junior, senior, I played sparingly. So they saw me, make a few plays here and there. You know what I mean? Long strider, had height, the physical attributes, the prototypical type of body, for a receiver.
By your senior year, were you as big as you were?
No, I was
okay.
6'1", maybe 185 pounds when I left high school. And then when I left college, I was probably like 205.
So what was the recruiting process like? Was that the only team that had interest in you as far as the college?
Yeah, I didn't really. Yeah, there was a couple of schools, Division II schools, that recruited me for basketball. I remember that. But then, like I said, some of the offers, like a couple of offers that I had, they weren't really at big schools. So I just went with, like I said, I just followed Derek. You know what I mean? They were recruiting him. And again, it was UT Chattanooga. Like I said, I didn't really follow a lot of football and stuff growing up because my grandma didn't really let me do a whole lot of anything. Didn't let them watch much TV or anything. Even like I said, we talked about my dad lived across the street. I was going over there watching TV. You know what I mean?
They didn't know it was your problem.
Yeah. And so she didn't let us do a whole lot of TV watching or things like that. We had the basic show, the Bill Cosby Show. I watched Wheel of Fortune.
Hey, listen, why is this in the hood? They make you turn the TV off like they ain't still paying cable. Like they feel like they get charged extra because it's on.
Yeah.
Turn that TV off.
Yeah.
Running my bill up. You paying for cable.
My dad didn't let us play the Nintendo on the TV because he said it would fuck the color up.
Yeah, bro. So that's how. Hey, man, I remember. Hey, that's how it was, man. So like I said, I made myself into who I am. You know what I mean, as far as an athlete. But as I got older, when I got drafted, I was just receptive to the coaches that saw something in me that I really didn't see in myself. You know what I mean? And I just kind of built like a step back in the chip, man.
We're speaking on college right now. Someone who's captivated the country for sure, and beyond possibly. Our brother Prime out there in Colorado, someone you're close with, from the Jackson State. From playing days, but then you support the Jackson State movement. You've been out to Colorado and felt the energy out there. In your opinion, what do you feel like he's doing and bringing to the game right now?
A lot of eyeballs, you know what I mean? Or a different way of doing things. And I think what he did at JSU, Jackson State, kind of set the blueprint, really forced some guys to kind of go do what he did there. He had kind of reached his max. Like, what else can he do there? Right. You know what I mean? He won championships. You know what I mean? What else can he do there? You got to elevate. You got to grow. So his next step, okay, let's go to, let me take this to one of the PWUs. You know what I mean? And that's what he's done. And I think what he's wanting to do is open the door for a lot of other brothers out there, Black coaches. It can be imitated, but it can't be duplicated. It ain't gonna be the same.
Swag got a lot to do with it.
Yeah. That's Deion being Deion. It ain't gonna be the same, but he's setting and laying down the blueprint. It can be done
in your own way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And again, I think now, like I said, what he's doing there in Colorado, in a couple of years, if he stays there, Colorado's gonna be Alabama. All he needs, like I said, and I've heard some of it, and I've seen some of the interviews. He's probably like 7 to 8 players away.
Big boys,
from being dominant. Yeah. That's all he needs, because that's where the game is kind of won and lost. He has the skill positions. He has those sold up tight. They sold up. So
front five on both sides, right?
Yeah, exactly. On both sides. Yeah, sides of the ball. You got to have those guys up there to obviously run the ball. You got to have somewhat of a balanced attack, but you take what they give you, and then nobody's stopping you from the air, from a passing standpoint. You pass until they stop it. Yeah. But again, that's why the rushing game hasn't been as what he would like. You know what I mean? What it needs to be. Because he got to go in between the tackles, get outside of it, and he got some guys to do it. Yeah. But again, it's going to take time, and every game is going to be different. You know what I mean? He has those kids believing. Yeah. Boy, let me tell you something. Deion, what he's done, he can go talk to some penguins for about a week, and he'll make them think they can fly. I'm trying to tell you. That's how much he got those guys, those kids believing.
I don't even look at it as coaching. Obviously, he's coaching, but to me, he's being a leader. Yeah. Just for what you said, it's hard for this era. Every generation is different to be able to. How do you get the attention of these young kids and make them believe and buy in? And to me, that's more about being a leader than actually coaching. I feel like he's being a leader of these young men, and like you said, these dudes will do anything for him.
Oh yeah,
absolutely anything.
Yeah, because he understands. He's been there. Deion is from Fort Myers. He hasn't always had the best of everything either. You know what I mean? He's gone from rags to riches. You know what I mean? He's gone through, and whatever scenario these kids think they're going through, that they think we as athletes or coaches haven't gone through, we've been through that. If not, we know somebody that has. So he can relate to those guys. And again, like I said, the approach and how he approached going into that, getting rid of a number of players. A lot of people, white America didn't like that. They criticized him for that. But how can you criticize a man for what he's trying to do with his own team? You know what I mean? He's bringing in his players. It's no different than coaches that get fired or hired. They come in, they bring in their coaches. It's the same thing. But why does white America feel like he's done something different or he's doing something wrong?
Feel he's confident and standing on his shit, backing it up.
What you just said is what this white guy said on this guy named Tyreek. That's the show, and it was a white guy. He said he loves Deion, but he's like, he just offended. He's like, why are you offended? He's like, be honest, why are you offended? The white guy said, because we can't do it that confident.
That's not out there. Yeah, he did.
I was like, thank you for being honest. Like, I love Deion, but I had to say that, and that's why we offended, because we can't do it that confident.
That's a personal problem. You can't fault us for how we do what we do. Yeah, that part. But again, a lot of people think that way. That really we talk to on an everyday basis. They may not say it, but they're in our faces, smiling behind the face and talking behind our back. Those are the type of things that we as Black, athletes and people we go through got to deal with.
You said you're out there working on some of the receivers as well?
Yeah, he brought me in. Like I said, he got a big receiver, Javon Antonio, that he wanted me to kind of help, help him along the way, kind of groom him a little bit. He's rough around the edges. And then, like I said, I worked with Travis. I worked with Weaver, Horn. I worked with all those guys. And a lot of the guys, like I said, that while I was there, they asked me questions. You know what I mean?
Talk about Travis as a receiver.
Oh, man.
We know what he do on the other side of the ball.
Ball skills is crazy. It's crazy. It's freakish.
Yeah.
Is how I can explain it. You know, like I said, there are some things that he's probably at the next level. He's going to have to fine tune. But when you think about what he's doing as high school, like he's not his second year in the league, and you see the highlights of what he was doing.
I saw his high school highlights. I was like,
bro, it's crazy. It's off the charts. So just think and he has that mindset of wanting to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, and then guys that, from speaking from a basketball standpoint, guys that have freakish athletic ability to go from college to the pros, and they don't enhance their abilities. They don't work to get better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're stacked. They get the money, and they're cool with it. They sign up for you. Say they sign up for your deal. The first 3 or 4 years, they cool. Contract year come up, they go in the lab.
It's too late.
Yeah. No, but some of them, they'll go get in the lab, get their game right. Oh, okay, this is the guy we drafted. Then they get paid again. Then they fall off. But again, Travis he's not going to be one of those guys. He's hungry. He wants to get, maximize the exposure that Deion is providing for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's learning from Deion too as well. Deion is just not coaching. He's teaching these kids about life every day.
I can tell you what was smart. You see nobody, he ain't go talk to nobody. He went right on this little show. Because everybody was wondering how he was doing and what happened, and how he feel. He went right on his lip.
That's right.
Their room with his pajamas on.
Right. So nobody twist his words. Exactly. And that's the thing, like I said, even when I was playing, dude, I wish we had, when I was playing, I wish I had those type of platforms to dispel some of the things that was going on.
Yeah,
I was kind of like before my time in a sense. Like I said, everybody was like, oh, I'm outspoken. They thought outspoken was something wrong.
Man, right.
You know what I mean? Like, bro, that's me being
side.
Right. Yeah, that was me being honest. You know what I mean? And like I said, those are some of the things, like I said, that was just me being honest. So it's like I said, even with Stephen A, with some of his stuff, he tried to use all of that to bring his audience in to talk about me and further attack my character. You know what I mean? But I like what Travis did. Let me address what it is. And I liked his approach to it. Hey, it's football. Yeah. At the end of the day, nobody wants to get hurt, but we know that was an illegal hit. You know what I mean? We knew it was a cheap shot. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I wanted Shador to me. I think there was a huge question mark coming on, can he do it on this level? And I think the composure he showed, that last was a 98-yard drive, 96-yard drive
to send it in
overtime. Yeah, 8 points. Oh, yeah.
But he makes every throw. He runs when he needs to.
Right.
He tries to sit in the pocket as much as he can.
Right.
Plays happen.
And he tough.
Toughest motherfucker.
Yeah.
The play where the dude got kicked out, he could have really hurt him. Where he locked his arm.
Yeah,
and snapped his jaw though. Snapped him in the arm.
But that shows you the poise, the character of his team.
Right.
Again, to number 8, Kamaro's credit, I didn't know who he was from Colorado State. He was a blessing and a curse for their team because he wreaked havoc the first
whole game.
And but the thing is, no discipline, no poise. He caused them the game too. We got two penalties. Yeah, 2 penalties. You got a face mask, and then he got the personal foul driving.
He went out the game twice with knee injury.
Exactly.
They put a brace on the other one. He came back and hurt.
Right. But hey, he's a dog. Like I said, I didn't know who Kamara was for CSU, but I do now.
Yeah.
But again, that just shows you, like I said, that's one of the things that one of the mantras for Deion's team is being smart, being tough. You know what I mean?
Well, those penalties Colorado State the game.
Care.
Question.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but Shador, your point, Shador, he should have an L and a D on this thing. I know he just got the L, but he's a leader and a dog. You know what I mean? And like I said, I wish I could have played for a coach like Deion.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would have had a D on my
as a parent, I would see how you not want your kids to go
exactly
to the system, and you see that they broke a streaming record. They're sold out games. National. I tweeted, I was like, Deion's got us watching Colorado State right now.
At 2 a.m. What? Yeah. It's 2 a.m.
No. I said Deion.
I kept smoking to stay up. If I would have stopped, if I could stop moving, I would have been out.
I'm driving through a high-end area of California. I got to see a lady walking her dog. She got on a Prime hoodie.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I took a picture and I showed it to her. I was like, yo, this is crazy. When you talk about the Prime effect, that's the Prime effect. You got uncharacteristically, people wearing your stuff because of what you're doing. That's
one
what
person I ever heard just blatantly say that they OP don't succeed. So one person out of all of
A lot of them think it.
Mad Dog.
Oh, yeah.
One said it.
But again,
I'm not
What you
surprised.
expect?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But again,
he
a
cut
lot
from-
of
he
them,
cut
a lot
from
of them
that
feel
cloth.
that way. A lot of
Yeah.
a lot of them feel that
Whatever
way.
cloth that is, he's cut from that bullshit.
Right. You
So,
already know what it is. But
yeah.
again, a lot of them feel that way.
Just won't say it.
They're not gonna say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Third round. Again, you said you weren't someone who watched a ton of sports. To land in a situation as historical as the 49ers, to play with the greatest receiver of all time, and Steve Young was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I mean, when you first got there, what was the situation like? How was it?
Man, it was tough. It was overwhelming because, like I said, I came from a small school. We didn't have a lot of plays. You know what I mean? We had like a little binder. You know what I mean? But I plays for the year and things of that nature, and game by game. But when I went to the Niners, going to training camp, bro, we had like a pamphlet.
Oh, not a pamphlet.
Not a pamphlet. Man, it was like a book. It was like a book. Bro. Yeah, bro. That's a dictionary. That's what it looked like, man. And so I literally had to process, really just trying to learn the position, learn to be a receiver, because I wasn't playing at a small school. You don't play the Power 5 school. You don't play that tough, stiff competition. I didn't play against a lot of DBs that came up and pressed, because my ability, it wasn't like it. Right, it wasn't like that to even do that. So these are things that I had to learn early on in training camp, as well as becoming knowledgeable about the playbook. And then my coaches, I had my first 2 years. My first year, I had two. Well, my first 8 years with San Francisco, I had two black coaches: Larry Kirksey, who coached the Jerry Rices, the John Taylors, and the Sherrards and Mason, and he coached them. And then he ended up coaching me as well. And JJ Stokes. JJ Stokes was really drafted. Yep, 95. They drafted him to be what I did.
Replace Jerry.
What they thought.
Following over Jerry. And so I just had to learn everything, bro. I was raw. I was green. That's the only way, the way to put it. You know what I mean? But I worked to try to figure it out. You know what I mean? I knew that I wasn't where I wanted to be and where I needed to be those first 3 years or so. It clicked probably like after my third year, going into my fourth year in the league. But when I saw we have one-on-ones, you know what I mean? There's a period, you have one-on-ones, you go against the DBs and whatever. So obviously I would go against the regular DBs, but when I saw some of the safeties wanting to get in on some of the action, to play me one-on-one, bro, I knew that I wasn't that guy. They thought it was funny because they gonna watch film just like we gonna watch film after practice of the one-on-ones. I was getting hemmed up left and right. Tyrone Drakeford, Pope, all those guys, Steve Israel, all these guys, like I said. And then Tim McDonald, Merton Hanks, the safeties, started coming out to check me one-on-one. I'm like, yo, this is disrespectful. And we got in the film, and it was tough for me. It was tough film to watch. And I saw, man, coach would watch. It got to a point, a couple of days of it, he would just go right by me because I wasn't doing anything. So for me, it was embarrassing because I'm watching Jerry run his routes, Mike Harris run his routes, smooth transition in and out. I'm just getting hemmed up. It was a struggle. Not every time, but it was a struggle. So that's where I'm like, okay, let me see how I can get better. I started working with a martial arts guy, George Chung, every day after practice with the hands. Then I started doing the footwork. Then I started looking at other receivers. I started looking at slot guys. I started realizing man, the guys that are being drafted, free agents that are coming in on our team is a reason why they're here. If they're not playing outside, they're playing inside for a reason. I'm like, yo, I want to be like Jerry, but I want to be more than Jerry because I had the physical side. I had something that he really didn't have, and that was size. And I'm like, man, if I can incorporate his feet, his escapability, how he transitioned in and out of his route, if I can do that, add that to my game, bro, it could be a game changer. But it wasn't until one day my coach pulled me to the side, and this is a sign of a good coach. He saw I was struggling. He wasn't going to dog me with it. He pulled me to the side. He said, yo, don't you like basketball? He knew I loved basketball. Out of my years in playing football, I never trained football stuff ever.
In the offseason?
One time was when I got traded went to the Eagles, and Donovan wanted us to come to Arizona to work out.
So you just hoop.
That's all I did was hoop. So my coach knew that about me. He knew I played in college. He was, yo, don't you like basketball? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, look, he said, you're struggling. He said, when a the D-back, a cornerback is in front of you, he said, all it is one-on-one. It's like you're playing basketball and you're trying to get by that defender to get to the hoop. Stak, man.
It clicked.
Boy, if this was a cartoon, it would be a light bulb and go up on top of my head.
At first, there was just bricks up there, but now there's something else.
Facts. And bro, once he told me that, it clicked for me. I'm like, man, I just need to get them out of the box. You know what I mean? Go one way, they go and you go the other way. But then, like I said, you can't hang your hat on that because now you got to elevate your game. Like that, the good defender, they may stop that. You got to have a plan B. They stop plan B. You got to go to plan C. But that's all got to happen within 4 seconds. You know what I mean? So I had to eventually progressively get better with that every day. And I started doing that after practice every day, started catching more balls every day because like I was raw, I was green. You know what I mean? Like I said, I wasn't a top pick. I didn't come in like I alluded to earlier with Randy, straight out of college, right into the line. Right. He was that guy. I wasn't him.
This was Cam and Mace. We would have gave him about 3 or 4 calls.
20.
Oh, man, I know. No, man, go ahead. Yeah. Pause. Yeah, for sure.
If they would have gave me a book like that when I got there, I would have gave it back to them. Like, but this is why I'm playing sports, so I don't have to read. Nigga, this is gonna make sense.
Right, yeah.
I'm playing sports, so I don't have to read this shit.
Steve Young. Was one of my favorite quarterbacks. Again, he played for my favorite team. What was he like? I mean, he was someone who was crazy journey to get to where he was at to become one of the greatest ever. What was he like as a person?
He was a good person. You know what I mean? Obviously, like I said, going there, playing on a team really kind of full of stars. They had won a championship a couple of years prior. I think 94 was the last championship they had. And so me, just come from Chattanooga, small school, small town, playing with, some of the very people that won championships and made San Francisco the franchise that it has. It was, like I said, it was a learning thing. Cause like I said, I never had been thrown a football with, from a left-hander. So those are things that I had to get adjusted to as well. Catching from really a right-hander, cause the ball spins different. Hit the hand differently.
Really? I never thought of that.
Yeah. So even like I said, early on, like I said, I wasn't really working with the ones a lot. Jerry and all those guys, the guys that was playing, they were working the reps with Steve. And then once I started kind of, work my way to where I would be on the field with him, I could tell like the ball spun a little different. I had to get used to it coming to me, approaching me a little different. But when you think about him, I wish I could have had him for really a majority of my career. Out of the 8 years of San Francisco, I only had him for 3 years.
So you kind of found yourself.
So yeah, when I didn't, like when I really was trying to find myself, he was gone.
So Garcia was next?
Garcia, we had Garcia, Timbertay, Giovanni Camarzi, Elvis Gerbach was there. We drafted.
No consistency.
Yeah, we drafted Jim Druckenmiller, played with a number of quarterbacks, you know what I mean? Throughout my years in San Francisco. But that's why I rank myself where I do, because if I would have had a solid, legitimate quarterback for like throughout the tenure of my career, at least 8 to 10 of those years, bro, there's no telling what I would have done. But I adjusted my game to every quarterback, and people don't give me the credit that I need, because I was aware that I needed to change my game, and offenses changed our offense based on the quarterback. But for me, I saw the limitations with some of our quarterbacks, like a Jeff Garcia, because he wasn't a stand in the pocket passer. He wasn't the strong arm guy like Steve Young that could throw the ball 67 yards down the field. That's why nobody really knew about my speed till I got to feel it. They saw glimpses of what I could do because the West Coast offense is predicated on precision and timing, slants, short underneath, intermediate, then take it the distance. They saw that, But then they really saw me really do what Randy was doing. They didn't see that till I got to Philly. And that's where I had to adjust my game, really kind of with every quarterback that I played. And then with the West Coast offense, they call something a scramble drill. You know what I mean? When plays break down, where you are in relationship to the quarterback, you know, I call it MYA, make yourself available. You find where the quarterback is, you get into his vision, because if they're under duress, they're trying to get that ball out of their hands. And so for me, when I understood what I could do once I got the ball in my hand, I made sure he saw 81. And when I got my hands on the ball, I did what I did. And like I said, I progressively got better as a receiver, you know, throughout the course of my years in San Francisco. But I wish I could have played. I mean, you think about Jerry. Jerry had no drop off in really caliber of quarterbacks. He went from Montana, a Hall of Famer, to another Hall of Famer in Steve Young. And just think about the number of yards and the touchdowns and the things that he amassed playing with those two quarterbacks back to back. I didn't have that, but I accumulated a lot of things because I realized and my coaches helped push me to believe and see what I could be. And here I am, Hall of Famer today, you know, because of that. And I honestly, I give a lot of credit to those coaches, even from San Fran, from Larry Kersey, George Stewart, went to Philly, David Culley, and my other black receiver coach, Ray Sherman, when I was in Dallas. Those guys, like I said, even some of the things, and every team that I played on, bro, I balled out. You know what I mean? And I attribute, like I said, the lack of a father in my household. They were like my dads. You know what I mean? They pulled me when all the things that were going on, when ESPN was bashing me about things, when you had former players that were going into the booth, you know, commentating, saying and compounding things that they thought and they heard about me, about who I was as a person, as a player. My coaches pulled me into, we had those private conversations and they told me, bro, you're not doing nothing wrong. Just because I was outspoken, because I was honest. That's how I was raised.
Wear your emotions on your sleeve.
Yeah, but that's how I was raised, bro. What's wrong with that? Now those things that I was heavily criticized for, vilified for,
It's the norm.
It's being embraced now. Yeah. Even with the touchdown celebration, bro. All of the things, everything that everybody really attacked my character.
We gonna get to your antics because you definitely had some antics.
Hey, I was creative. I was creative, my guy.
Absolutely.
Creative.
Absolutely. You joined the Eagles. You guys end up hitting the Super Bowl in 2005. You're coming off a broken leg. I remember you come back and play this game and 9 catches, 122 yards. I mean, what was your mental that day?
How you felt after?
I felt fine after. Honestly, like I said,
I was scared for you.
Yeah.
Running routes and moving, like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah. I would be remiss not to mention this because my grandma, like I said, growing up in her household, we went to church. You know what I mean? She taught me about believing in God, having faith, you know, and that's honestly what I hung my hat on when I had so many naysayers and detractors and doubters that said, and even the doctors, my doctor that performed the surgery, he didn't even medically clear me to play in the game. I had to sign a waiver to play in the Super Bowl. So yeah, exactly. It would have been a liability. He didn't even believe what he had seen within those 6.5 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl.
So break that down, not to cut you off. So you broke your leg at what point? So came back and how bad was the break? What happened? So
mid-December, like early to mid-December, we had 2 or 3 games left to go in the season. I caught a route and I was getting ready to go around the defense and Roy grabbed me by my shoulder, pulled me down. And when I went down, I heard a pop.
Roy Williams?
Yeah, Roy Williams. He was a safety for the Cowboys at the time. I was with the Eagles. And so when I went down, I heard a loud pop. I said, shh. When I laid down, I'm like, oh shit. I was like, I broke my ankle. That's how bad it felt. So Rick, the trainer, came out. He goes, yeah, what's wrong? What are you feeling? I said, shit, Rick. I said, I think I broke my ankle. And then so he started doing a little tests, this and that and the other. And so he signaled to the tunnel for the cart.
Yeah.
I said, nah, I'm not going. I'm not. That's just that mentality, that toughness that I had. I'm not going to go off on no cart. So literally, I walked all the way to the side. Guys helped me to the sideline. Then I walked to the tunnel. And when I got in that tunnel, boy, I broke down. I was like, man, she hurt. So got an X-ray. They really didn't see anything. So the next day, I got an MRI. The MRI was took for my ankle because that's where all the pain was. And so obviously the imaging, when I got there, the radiologist asked me kind of like, what are you feeling? where's the pain? So that night, I had my leg elevated all night. I slept on the couch. And at night, so I had ice here, ice there, and it was just throbbing. It was throbbing. So I got there and I was like, man, I told the trainer and the radiologist dude, I said, I was in mad pain. I said, up by my knee. I said, it's hurting real bad. So he's like, all right, cool. We'll just scan the whole leg. And that's when they found out that I had fractured my fibula. And in addition to the MRI images, they said, and then I had a high, severe syndesmosis sprain. So I tore all the ligaments over here. And then when they went in for surgery, they found out that I had snapped my deltoid ligament too. So had they died going in, looked at, I probably would have had another surgery if they didn't see that. So that was part of what the pop that I heard, in addition to the break at the same time, because it all kind of just happened simultaneously. So I played with 2 screws at the surgery. I had 2 screws in a plate. Really couldn't do anything about the fracture. They just said it just had to heal. And so like I said, it was 6.5, 7 weeks to the Super Bowl. So when I came back from the the doctor from Baltimore, I was in a limo, and then I had an interview with one of the local radio stations there, and they asked me about the surgery, how everything went, how I felt, and then asked me, did I think I would be ready for the Super Bowl? And I told them, I was honest. I said, if they make it to that Super Bowl, I said I'll be ready. But that was the faith that I had in myself and the things that have leading up to that, how I took care of my body, because I didn't get a personal trainer until after my 3rd year. So from year 4 to now, this is 5 years later, these are the types of things, like I said, that allow and enable me to recover as fast as I did. And I did other things too, from microcurrent. I took supplements, obviously, for the tissue, the cartilage, things of that nature. And I slept in the hyperbaric chamber. I was doing those cutting edge things before people even knew about it. But I had the team of people who I trained with in the off season, because I lived in Atlanta at the time. Those are the people that, like I said, I literally had everybody live with me and stay at my house those 6.5 weeks living up to the Super Bowl.
So how long were you supposed to be out?
Probably 3-4 months, at least 4 months.
And you came back in a month and a half?
6.5, 7 weeks. Mm-hmm. Yep. And like I said, the only thing that bothered me, because they wanted some extra protection, I never taped my ankles probably after my 2nd or 3rd year in the league, because I would practice without tape, but then guys would tape on game day. So I was like, man, if I'm practicing without no tape, I can play. So I never really taped my ankles. So got ready to play in the game, and they wanted some extra protection for that. I tried to go out. So I did my main little routine. So when I came to the tunnel, there was cameras everywhere. Man, I started to run. Dude, that tape was killing me. I can't remember if I took a lap or if I got halfway, and I'm like, man, I got to go back in. Went back in. I told Rick, I said, Rick, this is too painful. He said, all right, cool, let's cut it off. And then I went back out to work out, run, do my little routine. And then I started feeling pain up here. And that was where the break was. So when I went back in, he explained to me, he goes, it's probably not fully healed yet. And he said, because of weight distribution, he said, when people don't notice, but when you walk, your bones naturally spread a little bit when you walk because of weight distribution. So he said that where you're feeling is because you're running, and that weight distribution is stressing the break. So what we did was he rolled my stuff down. He basically got some tape, and he taped it as tight as he could around the break so it wouldn't spread as much. And so that helped. And then I took some Toradol pills just to kind of minimize, some of the pain.
Toradol was a motherfucker. I took that before, boy. Whew.
Minimize some of the pain.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got all these tattoos and just stand there, sit there for hours. So I mean,
no. I'm talking about I took the Toradol shot and how amazing it was.
Oh,
I couldn't move my arm, and then I was playing in the playoffs. And an hour later.
So you wasn't in pain after the game?
No, I really wasn't. I wasn't. And bro, I was so focused on what he said.
That's the highest level right there.
Yeah, and I was honestly, bro, like I said, I'm a God-fearing guy, bro.
But you're gonna crash. You're gonna eventually come down.
The adrenaline.
Yeah, but like I said, I didn't take a lot of things, obviously, because I felt good. You know what I mean? I trusted the rehab. We went to an aggressive rehab. Soon as I got back from Baltimore, I thought, I'm like, okay, they're gonna let me rest up for maybe a few days, week. Bro, the next day we went to rehab, and they had the confidence that I could do it because they had seen me work. They had seen me practice. They saw me on an everyday basis. They saw what I brought to the team. You know what I mean? That energy. And he was just like, and my approach to the game every day. So they're like, yo, we're gonna attack this. Like, you with us? He said, we with you. I'm with you.
You a G. I broke my toe and I damn near cut my foot off at the air game. What was it like? What was it like playing for the best team ever in NFL history? Dallas Cowboys.
Oh man, it was good, man. Again, like I said, things didn't go well in Philly for obvious reasons, and I had an opportunity. I'll say that I was a free agent. Jerry felt like I was one of those guys that, like I said, he had a guy in Michael Irvin who had a colorful personality, what have you. Obviously, that was the stigma. The thing about me is that, I was that guy. But again, my play, like I said, they couldn't deny that. And so I brought that to the Cowboys. And again, I balled out, for 3 years with them. So again, it was like, I never really envisioned playing for them. Like I said, obviously when I was in San Francisco, I stood on the star that day. So a lot of people, a lot of the Cowboys, they didn't like it.
Appreciated that.
Yeah, but then once they saw me on the field and I'm winning games for them.
It was cool.
Hey, yeah, exactly. The Lord,
He did that. Roy tried to take your head off. When you went to the stall, I think he scored.
Oh, that was George T.
Oh, that was George T.
That was George T. Yeah. But like I said, man, it was an opportunity. Again, like I said, I took full advantage of. And I think, like I said, with my career, bro, it's like you can't deny, like I said, when I talk about desire, dedication, and discipline, bro, I took it everywhere that I went, bro. I live by that, bro. It's like, and I didn't really think about it at the time, but the things that made me into a receiver, I brought that same package, even though the package on the outside, the wrapping was different. What was on the inside, what was on the inside never changed. So I brought that, you know what I mean? When people talk about complete receiver, that's why I say that I'm 2 behind Jerry. Because like I said, me and Randy, we've talked about it. Like he played when he wanted to, you know what I mean? He did certain things. But again, like I said, it's like, okay, who do you want? You know what I mean?
The most disrespectful games against us was you and Randy. Y'all destroyed us.
Hey, like I said, that's why we were mentioned top 3 for best of the best for what we did.
You got a relationship with Jerry?
No, not really. No,
I'm feeling that.
No, I mean, he backdoored me after I had signed a deal.
Crazy one right there.
2009.
Jerry Jones?
No, that'll be a crazy one.
Oh, yeah, yo.
That was
06 to 09. That was my 3 years. After that 3rd year, Jerry called me going into the offseason, extended my contract. I had a 4-year, $25 million deal. And then 2 months after that, he flew to Florida. Him and Stephen Jones and my agent, they had some owners meeting or whatever. They called my agent. He called me like, yo, he want to meet with us. I'm thinking it's like, this is the year right before they played in the new stadium. Mm-hmm. So right after the season, he had already asked me, like, what do we need to get over the hump? What do we need to do to compete for a championship? Him calling me, I'm like, oh, this is good. He's looking at me as a veteran, a pulse of what we can do offensively. So I told him that. And then, like I said, fast forward a couple of months later, he invites us to Fort Lauderdale. We go into some hotel. We went in the back. It was dark. The restaurant was closed. We were sitting at this table. There was a cloth on the table. And so it was Jerry, Steven, and then my 2 agents. And so he started rambling, just talking about, the organization, things of that nature. And then he was mentioning something about me. And then as he was doing it, every time that he mentioned something about the Dallas Cowboys, he would put something about Dallas Cowboys over here. When he mentioned something about me, he would put T.O. over here, Dallas Cowboys over here. He was mentioning all these things of, the approach and this and that and the other, what I brought to the team. And then he had a pen writing all this. And then in between all this writing, he did a line. And he said, we got to part ways. Bro, I looked around. I'm like, my agent looking at me. I'm looking at him. I'm like, what's going on? And then Drew, I think I recall Drew saying, are you serious? Like, what do you mean? But that's how I was cut from the Cowboys.
You think he borderline?
I don't know what borderline what.
I didn't want it. I was hoping you would figure it out. I had to say the other one. You think borderline race?
I think everybody can speculate.
There's a new lawsuit against them.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah, saying
right. Again, you can speculate that, or like you said, you can articulate things to make you think certain things. But I think there has been instances where if there was or if you think that he was racist, he could have
It's his
come
fault
out.
because it came out of his mouth.
Right. He could have come out and said certain things. You know, there's things that have happened since the George Floyd thing.
Yeah.
Where again, he told, you know, some of his players, if you do this, you're not going to be on the team.
Yeah.
You know, when guys wanted to kind of be in solidarity with the cause, and he prevented them from doing that.
Yep.
He suppressed them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They didn't have a voice when they wanted to have a voice.
Yeah.
So again, could he be? Yeah. Just because you do some great things or you do some stuff for some people that have played for you and won you some championship, that doesn't make you not a racist.
I don't, but he hasn't really done anything for them. They earned that money.
I get it, but there are going to be some players. There are going to be players that obviously that are going to be advocates for him because of what he's done for them. You know what I mean? Yeah, you think about the Michael Irvins, the Emmitt Smiths, and guys like that they're going to stand on his back because of he's probably helped them out in certain situations. You know what I mean?
He helped them out,
right? You know what I mean? So
he helped them out.
So again, yeah, I would probably lean more to saying he is than he's not.
Yeah, facts.
You were in a time where social media, well, when you were at your greatest, didn't really exist. If they did, some of your celebrations obviously would have been viral. We had to go through some of your celebrations right now. And just what was going through your mind when it happened? And we'll start with the one that Jack liked the most when you had the touchdown and you
like that one.
You sprinted from one side, stood on the star in 2000 against the Cowboys.
Oh, you know.
What your mind right there?
We travel.
Did you do it twice?
Yeah, I did it twice. So we traveled the day before the game to go in. You know, you go through walkthroughs, you go through the plays before the day of the game. And, you know, for 40 minute workout, you know, just walk through the plays. And then, so before we get back on the bus, we all, you know, whatever group you're in, receivers, running backs over here, everybody gets in the group. And we just happen to be in the middle of the star. I didn't think anything of it. So my coach, like I said, he knew that I'm one of the guys, like the offense kind of goes through me. Like if I go, the offense goes. So, you know, this is at a time like, okay, I know I'm that guy. And so I knew I was going to score, you know, at some point. And so, you know, we was at Dallas, the Texas Stadium with the hole in the roof at that time. And so, you know, obviously I guess the story behind the hole in the roof. It's in Dallas.
It was in Dallas.
Yeah. The hole in the roof is because God can look down on America's team. So he basically told me, hey, and it was a rivalry. Like I said, everybody's saying, the coaches know it, and everybody, we got to beat Dallas.
It's fucked the Cowboys from our side.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the conference too. It's the NFC East.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's like, yo, tomorrow. So yeah, look at Jack. Jack ain't liking it. So it's like, you know, he's like, yo, T, show him who God gonna be looking down on tomorrow. Not just America's team. Like, hey, you one of God's child's kids too. So that's what I did. That's what it wasn't no disrespect toward them. You know, I'm just giving homage, you know what I mean, to the guy that works me up every day that I pray to. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I did. So when you look at the actual clip, I went straight there. That's all I did. I wasn't looking at them, no nothing. I looked straight up. I didn't know, like I said, dude was barreling down on me and then he hit me. And then, like, you know, people, they exaggerate things. They're like, oh, he knocked you, he clocked you. I'm like, bro, he whiffed me.
Yeah.
And then even with that, bro, I've taken hits harder than that during the game.
From his grandma.
Yeah, that part. Yeah. So I did it, you know what I mean? And then, so after that, you know, my coach didn't say anything. Head coach didn't say anything about it. No, nothing. This is why I don't really deal with Coach Mariucci, because he didn't even have my back even after this game. So I did it the second time. That's when Emmitt Smith did it after I did it. And then the second time I did it, you know, it was obviously kind of in retaliation because they couldn't stop me. So after that, you know, I also go back, the games that we won. And then Mariucci suspended me. Like during that week, he came and he suspended me. The league didn't suspend me, nothing. It was so much media and hype. Like you said, it would have gone viral. It would have been crazy. So the league didn't suspend me. He was so pressured from the outside that he felt like he needed to do so. It's almost like the hit on Travis with the guy, the
Black
right. You know what I mean? It was so much heat talking about Henry Blackburn, like his coach felt pressure, he would have suspended him. That's what my coach did to me. He didn't have to, but that let me know that he didn't have my back. And our relationship, it went down the drain after that.
Popcorn.
It was impromptu. I didn't I scored the touchdown, and the dude was in the back of the end zone with the popcorn thing. So I just got it. You know what I mean? I was hungry, Jack. You know what I mean? I was served. You know what I mean? I was hungry, Jack. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I was putting a snack. Yeah, when I go to the movies, that's my excuse to eat popcorn because it's entertainment. Yeah. I realized at this point in time, like, bro, I'm putting on a show. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not only just me playing, and I'm doing what I need to do for personal goals, team goals, but I'm starting to realize now, like, bro, people have come to see 81. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then I started, like, it was on ESPN, like, like, what is he going to do next? So I started to try to do things to kind of one-up myself. So everything is not calculated. Right. Like with that, it was just impromptu. Like I didn't prop him back there. You know what I mean? Position him back there with the popcorn. I'm like, shit, let's get it. You know,
you had that sharp in your sock though.
Yeah.
That was sick. That was sick.
Yeah. That was sick. Yeah. It was just impromptu, bro.
That's the feeling of going to the game. Let me worry about what I would do because I know I'm a scorer. Yeah, so let me figure out what I would do when I get there.
And then at that time, going against a guy like Sean Springs, like again, Ohio State, me, UT Chattanooga. You look at that measure, like who's gonna get the best who? Like, you know, it's the players to watch, you know what I mean, for the week. So I figured, oh, hey, let me do what I do. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. I scored, and then like I said, I signed the thing. Like I said, I didn't even really think too much about it. It was like right before the series, I asked the trainer, you know, for a Sharpie. And he was like, he thought I was going to mark out something and give it back to him. I was like, you good? He didn't know. I just put it in my sock, and then the next series, I go out. You know what I mean? Cool. Yeah.
Moms with the cheerleaders.
Again, it was just spur of the moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? Impromptu. I scored. I dragged dude into the end zone. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I didn't have nothing planned, so I just saw those cheerleaders. And I was like, hey, let me just get in on this. You know what I mean? Yeah. So again, y'all, that's just me. Like I said, just.
Is there any celebrations you thought about doing but then reconsider?
No, man. Like I did a number of things, bro. Then, like I said, even with me starting to become so popular with the touchdown celebrations, then the NFL started to intervene, like telling us what we couldn't do and things of that nature. And then Chad, my homie Ocho Cinco, he was in Cincinnati doing his thing, and then it was just like it became a competition. I didn't really know Chad at that time, so it became a competition. Like, oh, who's gonna one up each other? But I just did it for creativity, and at the same time, it was motivation for me to get into the end zone because I know if I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm scoring, we can win. You know what I mean? So that's how I would use that added motivation. Like I said, we all are required to do something to better our skill set, to better our, you know, to help better personally and then as a player. But, you know, for me, I just knew that I'm like, okay, if I get my hands on the ball and the more times I'm more involved and I'm in that end zone, it increases our chance of winning.
Max, remember the NBA cracked down on our pregame shit?
Oh man, so bam, let me go and break it down for a lot of people that don't know.
Pregame, what?
So bam, so I just, you know, had a little incident in Indiana where I shot at the strip club.
I'm burnt out
when got hit, you know, by a car and all that. So bam, I get suspended 7 games as soon as I get traded to Golden State.
Okay.
So my burnout teammate right here wants to come up with a handshake where I slap everybody, and when I get to him, I put my hands up and he pat me down. Like, he's surgery, dog. Hey, we did that shit like 2 or 3 times.
David Stern.
Oh, David Stern called like, hell no, we ain't gonna be doing that.
Now it's playoff.
Wow. But
you go get suspended if you go one more time.
Well, what the thing is, but
he's on suspended. He looking for a reason to suspend me anyway. Damn, I got mad a bad name already. Just got on the team.
Right, but if you think about it, the opposite of like, yo, you're not really doing anything wrong.
I'm having fun.
Yeah, you
was laughing at
you making light of a bad situation. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you came out of it. You know what I mean? Because it could have been a point you didn't. You know what I mean? It was almost a point you wouldn't even be there to be doing that.
Nah, facts.
You know what I mean?
All right, quick hitters. First thing to come to mind. Let us know top 5 receivers in the NFL today.
Oh, today
Matt would be a top 5 receiver if he played.
Over, I don't know.
Nice.
Today, I would say you got to say Jefferson. What's the guy in Cincinnati Bengals? Chase. Devontae Adams. Who's that? Tyreek. Oh yeah, definitely Tyreek Hill. And
that's 4.
And I say I'm gonna put my guy DK Metcalf in there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my D, but obviously, yeah, you look at, that's Yep. Prototype. You know what I mean?
Quick one. What you think about the kid from the Jets?
Garrett Wilson.
All right,
I mean, it's early. You know what I mean?
But he gonna be something.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the play that he made the other night. Like, if you think about it, they could have easily lost that game. Yeah, we're gonna praise Zach Wilson for winning. And then obviously the walk-off, what is a kick return, a punt return?
Tip it to yourself.
But again, that was a difficult catch. He
didn't have himself.
Right.
Bro.
He had to go across his body to make that happen. If you think about it, that's not an accurate throw.
Nah.
He made the quarterback look good in that situation.
Good job.
You get what I'm saying? So to do that, then gain control, body control, catch it, and they needed that, based on the heels of what had transpired, like I said, with Aaron going down, and 4 plays in, that city needed that at that time. So again, like I said, Garrett, he's on his way. Yeah. But again, you can't, great recognition, but it's like a lot of guys, even with OBJ, that's my guy. A lot of people he's progressively, he was trending to be one of those guys, but then injuries played it a little bit. So again, Mike Evans, but again, it's one of those, he's quiet, one of those quiet guys. He's massing the numbers. Even Chris Godwin over there, he's good as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you think the guys are really making noise, you know what I mean? That's really standing out, that's trending.
Where's Dez in your top 10?
Who's that?
Dez
Bryant. I don't know. In the top 10, I don't know if he's in the top 10.
Top 15?
I have to see.
Another top 15 receiver?
I have to see. Bro, it's a lot of receivers. I mean, it's some that I didn't.
Not Dez Bryant. I said Dez Bryant. I'm thinking CeeDee Lamb, excuse me.
Oh, CeeDee Lamb. He's on his way. He's trending. He's at the trajectory is there. But again, my thing with those guys, to be a number one, you got to be a game changer. You got to be a playmaker. Not just a playmaker, you got to be a game changer. If you're not that for your team, in that game-changing situation, these years that they've been on the cusp of making the playoffs or not making the playoffs, he has to be that guy. When their running game wasn't where it was, you got to be that guy to change the game that they can go to I can make a play. I can turn something into nothing. Mm-hmm. Granted, he has the skill set and ability to do what he's doing, but do you see him as a game changer? Right. Type of play.
They showed me they did.
You get what I'm saying? Like I said, it's one thing to talk about being a number one, but what does being number one receiver mean? You got to be that. You got to be that dog. You know what I mean? Coach dialing up plays. I didn't know this until I started to become who I became with, behind Jerry. They had a game plan, our regular game plan. They had game plans where they had Jerry plays, where they know, in certain situations, we go into him in this play. Bro, they started doing that for me. Mm-hmm. Bro, when they got rid of him, for me to feel his shoes, bro, I knew I was at that point, I knew.
You're right.
Yep. It wasn't the saying I'm him. I don't really want to say I'm him, but I was that guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I feel some shoes. Everybody, for the number of years that he played there, and they drafted JJ to do what I eventually ended up doing. But I learned a lot, not only from JJ and Jerry, but I learned a lot from everybody every receiver that came in there. Because it was something special about him. That's what made me want to man, how can I get, little wiggle to my game, get away, the escapability. I had the physical part, I had to add some of the finesse part to the game. Then it just started just building every year. Then I started doing what the smaller guys do, making guys miss, catching out on them. That's what made me me.
You think all teams need to be playing on grass?
They all have their advantages and disadvantages. Of course, like I said, for running backs or like say receivers, we feel like sometimes playing on turf makes you faster. You know what I mean? But I understand the safety part of it as well. Turf doesn't give like grass. You know what I mean? So there are some injuries that that would have been prevented had they been played on grass as opposed to the turf. So, like I said, it's up for players. Like I said, we can say what we want, voice our opinion, what we need, but it's ultimately up to the league to do what they need to do to make. If you want to talk about player safety, just all across the board.
Soundtrack to your life, 3 songs.
Oh man, that's crazy. Oh man, y'all threw me one on here, boy.
Songs or artists, either one.
Artists, man, I like 2 Chainz, like some of his stuff. Tupac.
Of course.
And yeah, Tupac.
Mm.
I mean, I get throw Biggie in there too, man. If you look at it,
Wrong.
yeah, you can't go wrong. Yeah, any of those right there.
Yeah.
If I can find a soundtrack in some of those songs, you know, some of those artists to go with me. You know what I mean?
If you could link up with one QB, what would it be?
During your career.
Yeah.
Joe Montana. Joe Montana.
One tank.
Like I said, you look at the production that Jerry Rice had with Joe. Look at his production that he had with Steve. It's crazy. I mean, he didn't have a drop-off really in quarterback. One was right-handed, one was left-handed.
It was nice.
You know what I mean? Both of them nice, both of them are Hall of Famers.
I seen what Randy did with T. Brady. I would love to see.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Exactly. Like, again, I had to tailor my game, obviously, to Jeff Garcia's game. Our offense tailored to Jeff Garcia's game because he wasn't those prototypical quarterbacks that we were mentioning. He wasn't a stand in the pocket presence, big arm, can make every throw from either side of the field. But again, we made it work. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I had to make it work. You know what I mean? Because those are, like I said, all the quarterbacks, like I said, you know, I know they probably wouldn't have the career. I know I wouldn't have the career that I had, you know what I mean? And amass the numbers that I did without a quarterback. But equally, they got to say too, that they, you know, if they didn't have me, they wouldn't be able to do, you know, the things that they did as well.
No question.
5 dinner guests, dead or alive. You plus 5.
Oh, I go Martin Luther King, Obama, I go Jordan. I go Oprah, and I guess about like Warren Buffett. You know, somebody, you know, that's
Monster.
yeah,
Legend.
yeah.
Who would you like to see on All the Smoke? But before you answer that question, you have to help us get your answer on the show. Whoa, I ain't missed a beat. I'm right back to
All the Smoke.
Definitely a gimmick to it.
Oh, wow. Who would I like to have on All the Smoke?
But you remember, you got to help us. About our show. You know a lot of folk.
Oh, man, that's crazy. The first person that came to my mind was MJ. But to get him in here in this seat, you know what I mean? You guys got Kobe in here. You know what I mean?
I didn't text MJ, and any other text he can get to remind him that I text him to come on the show would be beneficial.
Okay. No, I got a direct line.
Yeah.
You know,
Just tell him to check my message.
okay, I got.
And that's all I need you to do. Tell him to check.
I got a direct line.
Now,
Well, T, man, we appreciate you. Best of luck with everything. Congratulations.
boy, this was long overdue.
Yeah.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, man. I didn't know if it was just gonna be about this, but I appreciate you incorporating. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's good, man. I mean, it came around, you know, I didn't really know how I wanted to go about it, but I know I wanted to respond.
yeah.
And I needed a platform where, like I said, nobody's not going to judge me. They're not going to cut up nothing, you know what I mean? So people can hear my voice, you know what I mean?
We just hope. No, coming from me and Jack.
That's y'all boy, though. I mean, that's
But y'all,
You my boy too.
but that's y'all boy. But y'all got more love.
I didn't hung with you. Me and him ain't never hung out.
Yeah, but I get that.
Me and you actually hung out.
Yeah. But I mean,
I just see from a standpoint, and I'm the first one of disrespect. I don't do disrespect. That's
No,
the only
yeah,
disrespect
that's cool.
I didn't been in my life come from disrespect. So I get what you're saying, but I just think at this point, man.
but it's for me, bro. It's just like the damage has been done, bro. Like people now, like I said, from going forward, like I said, you talking about GMs, you know, to call you players, coaches. Like what does that mean?
Right.
Like, what are you implying? Like, what is that supposed to mean? But he's, like I said, millions of people are hearing him say this. Like, there are businesses, they're hearing him say this.
Why you trying to demean my
Right,
character?
he's messing
like
with
he going out his way to do it.
Right, and I want to add this too. Please. But the fact that he says, I don't have no money, I'm broke, this and that and the other, that further makes me want to kick his ass. Because if I kick his ass, you ain't got nothing to get. You get what I'm saying? Since I ain't got nothing, you ain't got nothing to get.
Can't sue me.
So
Oh shit.
all the little slick words that, you know,
I feel it.
that he would, you know, how you would have come about it. If that's the case and you want to insinuate to America what you think you know about me, like again, what you said about me and what you thought you said you're going to expose me for, bro, it's public knowledge.
How about this, man? Y'all reach out to me and Matt.
Yeah, let us meet.
Give us the bag, and we'll get them in the ring. Make sure they get a bag, and then it'll be over after that. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm telling you right now, I'm signing up.
I'm signing up,
bro. Bro, I'm signing up.
Hey, right here. Wait, we promote this fight right now.
But I'm telling you, I already know.
I'm telling Stephen A. not to sign up.
Bro, but I already know
to yourself.
But I know he's gonna try to take the high road. Like, oh no, I'm bigger than this.
Plus, we all seen him go viral for his boxing,
but it don't matter.
So we don't.
Again, like I said,
I want to see it.
No, I
you
don't.
don't go around talking like you
I feel what you're saying, though.
Right,
To
but that's the
disrespect,
thing.
keep that same energy.
Right, but you going around, you looking to the camera talking about you this and you ain't scared of nobody. Bro, I'm not scared of nobody either.
Man, we promote.
I'm telling you.
And he took his glasses off. Hey, man, that's a wrap.
I'll give it out. Stak.
K.O., one of the greatest to ever do it. You can catch us on Showtime Basketball YouTube in the iHeart platform, Black Effects. See y'all next week.
%100% awesome.
You make this look good.
100% hilarious. 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's so dope.
And you still haven't watched Ninja Turtles on Paramount Plus yet?
Y'all not as cool as I thought you would.
Oh, no, hey, man, listen, we were kidding.
Ninja Turtles is effortlessly cool and crushes for absolutely every age.
Jeez, Dad, you really went buck wild there.
Ninja Turtles, rated PG, now streaming on Paramount Plus.